from the shadows is always strange to us. Sharing UFO information can be dangerous. Now tell me, are you a true insider? Have you gotten a death threat? But tell me, who is giving out the death threats? It's gotta be somebody. This has to stop, y'all. This is Gunfire News, and we're gonna break it all down for you. Gunfire News, that's right, baby. Are you a true insider? Are you afraid for your safety? That's unacceptable, y'all. Are you a true insider? Are you afraid for your safety? That's unacceptable, y'all. Death from the shadows is always strange to us. Sharing UFO information can be dangerous. Now tell me, are you a true insider? Have you gotten a death threat? But tell me, who is giving out the death threats? It's gotta be somebody. This has to stop, y'all. This is Gunfire News, and we're gonna break it all down for you. Gunfire News, that's right, baby. Are you a true insider? Are you afraid for your safety? That's unacceptable, y'all.
No man named UFO Shane. He has 58 laptops. I'm not joking, he has 62 laptops. He knows more than you about everything. He's got more to do. He's UFO Shane. He's got the plan. His IQ alcohol percentage insane. He has 83 laptops. I'm not joking, he has 96 laptops. So many laptops. My man, you Shane has 48, 9 fucking portable computers in his domicile. What the that? Stop sending UFO Shane like that. He's running out of space.
I don't know what to believe. I'm left holding the floaties in this pool of water that I carried for days. The translators are coming, tall whites are spoken clear. There's no use in running, he's already here. Richard Downey, I can't believe a thing he told me, but I can't stop listening closely to Richard Downey. Downey never told me a thing that I didn't think was chopping down trees in an Arizona forest, cutting off the sleeves of my work shirt. It was too hot to breathe and I wasn't going for it. We hit the road looking for a cheap skirt. And on that road we saw a light coming up the mountain. I got out the truck without a fight. The other guys kept shouting, Travis, don't go to that fine soft surf floating there. Travis, you fucking idiot, are you blind, do you care? That there's a spaceship right above us and you don't seem to question. Then they took Travis walking into another dimension. Travis, where'd you go? We wanna know because the whole town thinks we killed you, but we didn't kill you.
Nothing from the shadows is always strange to us. Sharing UFO information can be dangerous. Now tell me, are you a true insider? Have you gotten a death threat? But tell me who is giving out the death threats. It's gotta be somebody. This has to stop, y'all. This is Skyfire News and we're gonna break it all down for you. Skyfire News, that's right, baby. Are you a true insider? Are you afraid for your safety? That's unacceptable, y'all.
Could you imagine if we made you do that again? We just made you go through 2 minutes? No way. I think 1 minute might be too long. We might shorten that down to 30 seconds. Welcome to Skyfire News, where we're keeping it fluid. This is an amazing show we're going to have for you tonight. Who is threatening the whistleblowers? We don't know, but the alerts have been raised. The alarms have been raised, I guess is a better way to put it. So, yeah, this is in the mix. We have some statements from these UFO insiders who are expressing a lot of threats. People showing up at their houses, people having to take cover. It's kind of an ugly thing. So we're going to get to it. I don't know how I feel about this music. We might need a more upbeat. I don't know. Couldn't be too upbeat, though. It's kind of a somber subject. What do you think? We got Red Panda in the mix today. Hell of an intro. What do you think, guys? What do you think about the overlay? We're keeping it topical. Thanks for popping in here, everybody from Twitter. Pop over to YouTube. Give us a follow. Subscribe to this bad boy. Chalk up a like. Show some love. Really helps us out. This video should play. Boom. Who's threatening the whistleblowers? We have ideas, as anybody does. Want to hear from you guys in the chat. What do you guys think? Any observations out there? You think any prime suspects? TBD. We'll see. Sheehan had some interesting things to say about Lue's statements. Kind of a disagreement, it seemed like, about what kind of threats he was receiving. Again, we're going to get to those clips. We're going to get to those statements. Red Panda, pop up in here whenever you want to. He's always being detained by the CIA.
What up, Tupa?
What up, mate?
Yeah, crazy episode. We kind of covered some of this stuff before, but probably good to get it all in one spot. Because, some wild statements. And then since we covered it last, we have new statements from Sheehan, like you said, kind of counteracting that, and more statements from Garry Nolan talking about it too. So, yeah, pretty wild stuff. So, yeah, we have a little presentation here. What do we got? We got, like, basically everything everyone said about it recently. We have some of the other thing. We have Pasulka, what she said about it. And we also have Kirkpatrick. You know, people like to gloss over the threats that he's claimed against him.
True.
So yeah.
True. I mean, he's been talking about it for a hot minute too. So, all right.
And we're also going to talk about the fake threats in the past, which some of y'all are going to hate because your disclosure heroes do have in the past lied about threats and worked people up.
It happens. We see it.
I'm on the side of truth. I do not care about any individual person. No one owns the phenomena. No. And if you think talking about this kind of stuff is attacking disclosure, you've been had. True. You're in the right spot. They want you. They don't want you asking questions. They want you to just be angry and be pointed at somewhere.
Darth McB says Lue's stuck up his own butt. Interesting. Perhaps a shout out to Gabriel Lundes. You were the first person here. Good to see you. You guys really popping in. Sam Danner, hello. Is anyone here? Not at the time, but now we're in the mix. Darth Pepper goes in. It's kind of a live chat already. I love this. All right, Red. The choice is ours. Do we want background music or not?
I say let's put the spooky music if we can. I'm also trying to find this thing Logan sent me because that is a good point. I should have put the James Fox clip in there too. I don't remember where it is though. Let me see. Oh, hell yeah. Discord, hella searchable. Oh, beautiful. Love it.
Spooky.
Oh, hell yeah. Last minute additions to this presentation. Tuba, riff for like 2 minutes while I add this last thing, please.
On it. What are we doing, dude? There's a lot of new activity in Spaces. If you guys don't know about Spaces, if you're strictly on YouTube, definitely check it out. Go to Twitter or X. And then just check it out. Look up Spaces, look up UFO. Follow me, follow Skyfire News, follow Red. We're often in them. You can get a lot of information from them. Like, there are people in the world and in the world of UFOs who frequent Spaces. They're there. They pop in. Richard Doty, if you've ever heard about Richard Doty, I mean, he's in the mix. I spoke to Garry Nolan on Spaces. Alex Jones, David Icke. Some of the greats. Sean Cahill. We spoke to Sean Cahill in Spaces. Red just asked him a question that got posted to Patrick the Vetted podcast. Check that out. Friend of the show. Heather's saying hot mic panda. We'll see how hot it is.
Sounds like absolute cancer, says Solid. Hell yeah, Solid. We're glad you're here, bro. All right, let's get this presentation running. Let's do it, yo. Who is threatening these whistleblowers? All right. So I think we got to start.
There were individuals.
Oh, so this happened today. This is kind of tangentially related. We might have to do like more about it tomorrow. Tim Gallaudet, retired Rear Admiral, some sort of high-ranking meteorological figure within the Navy, basically had to check the weather patterns for whenever they're doing drills or tests or anything like that. You know what I mean? He's recently become very outspoken about UFOs, which I appreciate. You know, all the more high-ranking people we could get talking about this stuff, I think, is awesome. But he did. He went on Sean Ryan today. Everyone was hyped about it, and then he did say this. This was pretty interesting, and a lot of accusations in the community about who he's talking about. But he said that people are paid to discredit Lue Elizondo online, or he suspects. So let's listen to this.
There are individuals who I will not name who are who I believe are getting paid, but every day they get out online and they're well known in this UAP community, and their number one job is to discredit these national authorities, these people like Lue Elizondo, who was with the task force, the UAP task force. I've met and trust and know, and he is 100% who he says he is, and what he says he's seen and knows, I have total confidence in. People like him, he's an active target of people discrediting him, and others too.
Interesting. Is there anybody I should be looking out for?
Gosh, I don't study this like other people do. Some people they really spend a lot of time on this.
Kind of interesting, right? To make a bold claim, and then when asked, I'd be like, I actually don't really study this, though. Right? Like, this is definitely happening. People are getting paid to discredit Lue online, but I actually don't study it that much.
That just means that he's getting told this information. He's not investigating it. He's just being told these facts or these bits. Huh.
Who do you think he's talking about?
About, or who he's talking to?
Well, first, let's say, do you think this is really happening? And then second, who do you think in his worldview he thinks this is happening? Who do you think in his worldview he's talking about?
Stephen Greer?
Maybe. I think he's probably talking about Green Street and Blackvault.
You think so?
Well, that's who kind of... I mean, he's talking about Lue Elizondo specifically, right? And, like, who are the people that people are saying are attacking Lue or whatever? Yeah. Well, let's continue then along, because that was interesting. He also has some other interesting things in there. He said people within the government are in communication with UFOs. That was pretty wild. Like I said, we might have to do more of this tomorrow, but we wanted to have like a one-stop shop of all these threats and whatnot for today. What's your read on Tim Gallaudet overall, Tupa?
I think he seems to know a lot and talk to a lot of people, but now after seeing this episode of Sean Ryan, I think he's being told a lot of information that's like that he's believing, and you know, he's an admiral. I'm sure his discernment is good, but something about it just seems like a repetition of things I've been hearing. You know what I mean? A lot, and I wonder if that's because of it. You know, I know that Garry Nolan does his fair share of going out there and talking to people, right? From Gallagher, you know, getting him acquainted with the Wilson Davis memo, a memo that Gallaudet brings up in this same interview here.
Oh, also, let's not forget, he's pretty close to Darcy Weir, I'd say. He's appeared in his documentary. He's gone on multiple interviews with them, and we know Darcy Weir is convinced that Darcy Weir's kind of he's spoken about the third phase of Moon anti-Lue psyop and the Greer anti-Lue psyop. So, yeah, that's probably a good guess. All right, let's continue. So this is the statement that was issued, I think, like about 2 weeks ago now, a week. And this was tacked on to the end of a longer statement, but honestly, the beginning of it had really nothing to do with this. To add insult to injury, I was notified yesterday that there may be a personal threat against myself and several other whistleblowers, formerly associated with the UAP effort. So I just want to emphasize here, too, because people are kind of running with this in every which way direction, which I honestly think was intended. But he said, I was notified that there may be a personal threat. So that's a conditional verb, right? There might be. And then he was notified by somebody else. And I think people have been running with this as there's been direct evidence of attacks on Lue, which even by his own words, he's not saying that. So I think we need to be clear there.
It's very vague, and people, I think, are being pretty lame about it online. Again, we've always said this. I've always said this. Threats against people are not great. That's the worst shit. Don't make people feel afraid for their safety. It's awful that this is happening. These are veterans. These are people who some people consider heroes. If that's really going on, I disavow it. I think it's awful. Now, what he's saying, though, is that there may be a personal threat. And like, you know, what you said, like even what Sheehan kind of backed up and talks about, it's not really congruent with the reality. It almost seems like an inflation and maybe not even on Lue's part, but at least on the part of his fan base, like his wolf pack. You know what I mean? They're going to run with this, and now they're going to be like, holy shit, we're in code red. Because we've heard this language before, and we've seen the reaction before from these same people. So
exactly, and we're going to cover some of that, which no other UFO show, Matt Ford, will never tell you some of the things we're telling you today. Let's continue. So this happened, right? And then Garry Nolan kind of soft backed it up. I don't know if this is necessarily as hard of a affirmation as people are making out to be, but it's worth covering. This was over the weekend on that UFO podcast. Shout out them.
And recently, another friend of yours, colleague Lue Elizondo, in a statement said he was aware of threats made against himself, his family, and other whistleblowers. I'd love your take on that and how you see that playing out. And do you think this could put a stop to other whistleblowers coming forward?
It certainly casts a pall. I mean, I know the specific incident that Lue is discussing, and it was real, and it's real, and it's ongoing. You know, that information might go public. It's not my place to say it, but it's pretty serious. I mean, look, I got a phone call myself at one point, basically telling me to be careful how I was talking about things. And I won't go into the specifics of what was said and all the rest, but it shook me. It was a call from somebody in the government. Or representing what was being said in certain circles. And it was a threat, you know? That was the first time I ever felt, okay, this is getting personal. It wasn't a threat by them. It was telling me that the way I was talking about things, I needed to be careful. Because there are others who will.
Okay, so this is interesting too, right? Because I feel like people were running with this where the call he's talking about, like that wasn't a call threatening him. It was a call telling him that there may be threats against him, right? You know what I mean? I feel like people were conflating the two, and I just think that's an important distinction to make. I just want to make this point too. Nobody owns the UFO topic. None of these people do. I don't. Tupa doesn't. None of us are in direct communication with it. Like, you know what I mean? No one owns it.
Not yet.
So I can empathize with Garry Nolan here saying when he got word from somebody else, so not even a threat, he was told by someone else who he trusts that there may be a threat. He felt that. But in the same vein, a lot of people in this subject, in this field, like Tupa, me, like Tupa's brothers have been called and threatened and sent photos.
Oh, it's
a lot more
it's crazy.
than what Garry Nolan has had to go through. And not saying that's, you know, it's not comparing apples and oranges, but it's like that's the caliber of stuff going on. But if you talk about it, you're persona non grata.
It really, I mean, when I first got into UFO Twitter, it seemed like that back then too. Like you didn't want to hear about it. Like the reason why you joined in the conversation was to catch the wave of the momentum. You know what I mean? That was growing from the 2017 article onward, right? Everyone's riding this marketing wave, this wave of disclosure from these icons of disclosure, right? Like we're getting the information we need. Why stop it? You know, we never trusted the government before, but they're still telling us information. Why stop it? Why criticize it at all? Why not just let it ride? And that's the vibe in the beginning. But I think, you know, as it went on, and you realize, like, if you want to, you know, Red, if you want to have a channel, if I want to host spaces or have a cartoon character, right? If any of these things like take place that aren't really they don't fit in with whatever this plan was from 2017, it seems like things are going on. Things happen. Reprimands, reprisals, different interesting like campaigns will kick in. But you know, as that happens, there's also this weird denial that it's happening. And, you know, this is something I've seen too. And I'm not trying to breed this as like a woe is me thing at all, but like, I saw the community get totally thrashed and harassed. And then I saw the same people who were doing that harassing and thrashing and doxing and just crazy behavior on spaces and on Twitter and whatnot. I saw that same people go after David Grusch and then say that they did it on the whim of somebody else who's like connected to these guys in like a recorded spaces. Then after David Grusch is attacked, those same people are the ones who start the whole David Grusch ribbon.
Yeah, and we're going to cover that. And that's
Dude,
also why when
that's
people
crazy.
get mad at us for talking about this, it's like, you guys are all so dumb. We were the first people out here defending Grusch against some of these weird attacks. And we're going to cover that Leslie Kean herself, who many of y'all love, also said it was attacks from UFO Twitter that caused everything to... But we'll get there. We'll get there. Let's just continue here for a bit. Let's just go to the next one, because the next one is kind of long. Or actually, well, here's James Fox recently, right? So this was a few weeks back. This was from Game Tech Tweets, who's on Twitter, who has really good sources. Here's him talking about James Fox getting threatened too, which I think is a point for at least that they're all in the same circle getting the same information, right? Yeah.
Want to be very brief on James Fox because I haven't talked to him and I haven't told him that I was going to talk to publicly about this. But I talked to James just a couple weeks ago, and I'll tell you from my standpoint why I was talking to him. I was talking to him because I'm coordinating an interview with him prior to his release on his new film. That's why I was talking to him. And I was strategizing with him about that. Now, when his responses were very telling, and Fringe and Logan, I sent those to him only to give you guys an understanding that what I'm saying is verified. It's confirmed. But
I also saw the DMs, and it is a DM from James Fox basically saying that me and others have been getting threats. So,
Shit.
And this is like a week or two ago. So I think we could probably move on from there too. That's basically just that point. Oh, actually, wait, let's listen to a little more.
But there are death threats on these UFO whistleblowers. And I'm not talking about the David Grusch circle. I'm talking about in other circles too. And they're very serious. This is not something that is just people talking. You know, when we have the understanding of death threats, we're understanding a bar fight. I'm gonna kill you, motherfucker. You know, we don't take those as serious. No, this is on a whole new level. This is government. And we already know with congressional testimony, when David Grusch and those other two service members was Ryan, I believe, and somebody else. Help me out.
Danny, I was wondering if you could...
I want to be very...
Uh-oh. Look out. Look out. We're awake now. We got...
Days I'm all about the fatty. You better get some. Too busy hating, ain't getting none. Me, I'm all about the fatty. Ain't getting none. Me, I'm all about the fatty. Yeah, they ain't ready for me. So nowadays I'm all about the fatty. You better get some.
Shout out to Courage First. Appreciate you for being here.
Thank you, Courage First.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, let's so this was what happened over the weekend. I think the space was Friday. Shouts out Paul's Portal. And I got this question, and this is one of the things I actually really love about doing Skyfire News is we get to like really like I feel like help out a lot of other people, and like we feed the community. And like so this one, like everyone covered this clip, right? And a lot of times the stuff we do clip some of the other shows like Alien Girl, Tristan Material, Vetted, The Big Thing, you know what I mean? They'll play it and they'll shout us out, and I love that.
Bro, this is not an exaggeration. Eric Weinstein, okay, and Brian Keating hosted a space on Terrence Howard because of a clip we shared. They didn't source us because by the time it got to them, millions of people had shared the Terrence Howard clip. Isn't that crazy? We had like 2 Terrence Howard posts. We clipped them real quick from Joe Rogan, and yeah, it didn't just feed the community. It got pretty far. Millions. Academics.
Dude, yeah, 2 fed academics with that one. That was hilarious. So yeah, and that's just a little sidebar because people always tell us, "Oh, you're hurting disclosure when you talk about these bad characteristics of our disclosure heroes." But it's like, I guarantee you, none of the people who criticize me and Tuba put in as much work as me and Tuba do. or have as like big of an impact. I'm not even saying that to like suck my own dick or anything. It's like we actually do put in a lot of work, but we also are capable of calling out some weird behaviors, and it's not this binary thing. The stuff we've done on Skyfire News has like millions of impressions in the short time we've done it. I'm working on my Steven Spielberg documentary. I'm putting in way more research than like I'm reading like fucking 30 books worth of things, right? And I've watched every Steven Spielberg archival interview there's ever been and taken notes on it to format it for people. So it's like
you've done so much. I mean, you get cited and referenced all the time. I think you reignited an interest in UFOs for a lot of people who were just trying to kill their boredom and came across your videos and were like, oh, I'll watch more and I'll watch the next one and I'll watch the next one, and they weren't disappointed. Like, I think you as an independent creator, you've probably done more than a lot of other independent creators who have in terms of changing the landscape of ufology. It's just one of those things, you know what I mean, where, you know, in Twitter and in spaces, a lot of people can reach out and touch you. A lot of people can engage with you one-on-one, and a lot of people, you know, can also criticize us. So you have like these, you know, these critics, you know, who are valid, but then you also have these trolls who are just bored, and then you have like these other groups who are pushing influence and stuff, and it's just they're all coming at you all at once. And I think it's easy to forget that, like, you know, it's not like you're in a different caliber because you're, you know, you or I or anyone is a content creator, but we're putting out so much work. We forget that that's like what we do. We don't just engage on social media. We don't just criticize stuff. Like, we're here talking about the news and stuff, but we make so much. Like, I've been making videos and putting them on Twitter for, you know, for free for 2 years. Like, it's just a fun thing I like to do.
Oh yeah, that's what I think. All our stuff's free, always free.
Yeah,
it's just annoying when people are like, "Oh, you do this." It's like, bro, I've had so much work in, and it's not a binary thing. It's a cope thing people tell themselves because they don't like what they're looking at, and they get mad at the people highlighting it rather than the people that are doing it. But we did miss over this super sticker. This was from
shit.
So nowadays I'm all about the fatty. You better get some. Too busy hating, ain't getting none. Me, I'm all about the fatty. Getting none. Me, I'm all about the fatty. Yeah, they ain't ready for me.
I like Gallaudet a lot, but he doesn't divulge much. He's very surface level. Very surface
kind of like,
level. Good to see you again, Chef C.
Carl Nell too, but it's like, I also get it though. Like, what are they really going to say that hasn't been said? Because a lot of the stuff is already kind of out there. It's perked up despite the cover up over the years, right? So I don't know. I get that sentiment. I'm still happy, right? I'm still happy. Any freaking respectable person we could get speaking out about this, I view as a win. Although, yeah, sure, right? We would like them to all say everything they know about everything. Yeah, so this was the clip, right? This was the Danny Sheehan clip. So everyone's talking about this threat because it's, like we said, we're concerned too if this is actually happening. We don't want, and I believe there's a history of definitely murders related to this subject, part on the government, part on the NHI. But so we asked Danny Sheehan, I asked Danny Sheehan about it, and he had an interesting response, and it's kind of long, so let's listen.
Danny, I was wondering if you could elaborate or if you have any more information about these that we're hearing about recently. I know we touched on it a little bit, but like, what's happened that triggered this tweet from Lue, or do you guys have any suspicion of like who's the group behind these alleged threats, more specifically than just like the gatekeepers kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I don't believe that the. I've got to be careful about this. You know, that it's true that there are all kinds of people, you know, saying bad things about Lue. And they say bad things about Chris Mellon, and they say bad things about other people who they view to be whistleblowers because they're hostile skeptics about the whole issue. But that doesn't really amount to significant threats. There are people who do other things. That, for example, there's some complete, you know, cloaca, you know, who has filed a criminal charge against Lue with the SEC. It's a totally contrived bullshit charge of saying that this person apparently went out and bought a single share of stock in the book publishing company that's going to be publishing Lue's book. And then he's filed a criminal complaint with the SEC against Lue for alleging that he's engaging in fraud and defrauding the stockholders of the book publishing company is such a complete, bullshit position. But it's irritating and it's aggravating, and it's a form of kind of harassment on the part of this kind of ardent skeptic. But that's not the kind of thing that we're talking about in the recent event. What's happened is that a person who is knowledgeable about the program, that is the crash retrieval program and the back engineering program, was found dead, and the police believed that it was a suicide. But some of the people said, well, look, you shouldn't be hasty in coming to your conclusion that it's a suicide, because he was in possession of important information that he may have been open to revealing publicly, and that therefore that you should not precipitously close the investigation, just deeming it to be a suicide. You should have a homicide investigation preliminarily. And that all started to skyrocket from there. It's like that you've probably heard that the people that are pro-Trump people have, through the Freedom of Information Act, gotten a copy of the search warrant for Mar-a-Lago, and that they saw that there was a provision in there authorizing the use of deadly force if necessary, which is part of a boilerplate warrant form. That's a problem in and of itself. That's a provision that's in virtually every federal warrant. But what they did is they seized upon that, saying, "Oh, look, the warrant that was issued to search Mar-a-Lago is had an authorization to use lethal force if necessary. Oh, what would have happened if Trump himself were present when they executed the warrant?" Which he was not, and which the Justice Department had gone to great lengths to make sure that he wasn't there when they exercised the warrant. But say, well, what would have happened if he had been there and he'd resisted? Does that mean that they would have used lethal force against him? And then that ballooned into, there was a plot to potentially kill him, to kill Donald Trump, that was instigated by President Biden. And then it went on to that this was an assassination plan on the part of Biden. Again, and this happened. It just balloons and it snowballs into these kind of brain farts, that people engage in. And the point is that some people started doing that with regard to this thing, of this event that took place last week, that this person was found dead, and that there was a preliminary assumption that it was a suicide, an unfortunate and tragic event. But because there was a request to keep open the potential that it might have been a homicide, given the sophistication of some of the means that they have at their disposal to do that. And then that word leaked out, and somebody then assumed that there was a homicide that had been committed. And then it ballooned out into saying, if homicides are being committed against people who have UAP information, this constitutes a horrendously dangerous situation. And then it was probably not a good idea to go forward and say, to announce that Lue had no intention of committing suicide, and he was not engaged in any kind of activities that constituted a threat of any kind of fatal injuries to him, etc. And that was probably a less than carefully thought through step to be taken, because it fostered and fed into the kind of maelstrom that began to develop around that. But that's not appropriate. There is not adequate evidence of any kind that there is that type of threat that is outstanding against the people at the present time. But if the testimony that David Grusch has presented to the Congress is accurate, and certainly for the most part it is, that he has stated that he has been put into possession of information in his privileged position that he was in on the UAP task force that has led him to believe that some people have been killed by the legacy group to keep secret the information about the program, the crash retrieval program and the back engineering program. And if you take that testimony and then you co-join it or erroneously conflate it with the information that arose around this particular tragic event that has occurred last week, unless it turns out to be more. But at this point, it has not developed any.
So yeah, let's. We got a super sticker. Let's see what we.
Hello.
Nowadays I'm all about the fatty. You better get some. Too busy hating, ain't getting none. Me, I'm all about the fatty. Ain't getting none. Me, I'm all about the fatty. Yeah, they ain't ready for. So nowadays I'm all.
Let it ride, dude. So Sheehan is kind of saying.
Real quick, Jackie Renard says, "Koala and Tupa keeping it real out here." Thank you,
hell yeah,
Jackie.
Thank you, Jackie.
But yeah, a lot of interesting things dissected too, because I have some thoughts. He said like a bunch of interesting things here.
I feel like he just denied what he tried to stamp out the fire that Lue's comments started. There was a very long-winded way, and he did it repeatedly, right?
He accused him of basically brain farting, right?
Yeah, like, oh, not malicious, not a lie, just an accidental untruth.
But what's interesting too is that he reiterated Grusch's claims of this and said that those were legit, and then basically accuses Lue of like conflating these two, which I find interesting, and I think that is a pattern of behavior we have seen with Lue. But again, to reiterate to people, Danny Sheehan is a constitutional lawyer and attorney. He was part of Iran-Contra, so he has some chops. I mean, not part of it, like part of the prosecuting of it. You know what I mean?
That's different.
Yeah, that's different. He has some chops in the non-UFO world in terms of just like legal stuff. He was the attorney for the Disclosure Project, which is Dr. Stephen Greer's
That's
effort.
right. That's right.
And then he mysteriously in 2021 became Greer's attorney. I mean, Elizondo's attorney. And actually, you know what? Let me pull this up real quick.
And that's weird because these guys, Elizondo and Greer, are famous for kind of not getting along, right?
Yeah, and actually, he said some interesting things about him in the past too. So let me play this real quick. Okay, this is him in 2021.
Direct conversation with Lue and with Chris that they know that the major military authorities with whom they've had very close communications realize that if in fact the extraterrestrials were hostile in their intent toward us, they could have done anything they wanted to. They can come and go at their pleasure. And so that in that regard, they do not constitute a clear and present danger to our national security. But they also know that they're in the habit of getting their funding for all of their entire organizations, et cetera, by flogging a threat. And so that they're inclined to do that because the simple fact is they don't trust the people in Congress. They think the people in Congress are so Pavlovian in that they, in fact, distrust their constituency so much that they have to scare them. And so they say, well, if we're going to be able to justify having hearings about the UFO issue, we're going to have to tell our people that, they're a potential threat to us. And so that therefore they're conning their own constituents. And then they are getting conned by the military industrial complex because they don't trust them either. And this is a question of integrity. That as long as people are not trusting each other and they're conning each other, this is dangerous. This is how wars start. This is how people lose control of the.
So yeah, really interesting stuff there that he basically accuses Mellon and Elizondo of conning, which honestly I think there's plenty of evidence that there's a threat narrative here. So I honestly think that's kind of like too lofty of an ideal. It's kind of weird that he honestly even ended up representing Lue, being how close he was to Greer. I think that documentary we just watched a clip from was the same one where Greer was like calling Lue a disinfo shill. Michael Mazzola, friend of the show, who directed Grusch documentaries, we asked him about this before, and I actually find this kind of commendable. He said Danny Sheehan doing this was kind of him trying to like bridge the gap, and like kind of, you know, like, because yeah, imagine if Greer and Elizondo teamed up, right? They'd be kind of unstoppable. So I don't know. It's interesting that
would be amazing.
Yeah,
that would be an amazing link up, dude. Will the universe allow it? Can they bury the hatchet?
So yeah, and then I was honestly shocked at how counter or how like against Lue. It's not necessarily against Lue. It's like, is it against someone if somebody says something that's not true and then you like give your truth on it? Like, is this Danny Sheehan against thing? They're just both giving their perspective on what happened, and yeah, I was just shocked that he basically says Lue jumped the gun. There's no evidence yet, and honestly, to the suicide thing, I think we still need time on that, honestly. But to reinstate that Grusch's claims were true, and like Lue's trying to tie his claims to that, and it was kind of irresponsible. I think he uses that word. It was irresponsible for him to do that. Pretty shocking.
Yeah, strong words, for sure. We were very passive. By the way, great question.
Right? Hell yeah.
Great question.
I got
and
some
shout out to Paul's Portal.
Yeah, Paul's Portal. I loved his face, but I have a few of those. I love whenever people clip when I asked Lue about the Havana syndrome connection to UFOs like a few years back. And it's funny, some of our haters will like try and hella edit me out of that thing. It's pretty funny. Okay. So after, because that caused a storm, and like I said, like pretty much every UFO show covered it, and everyone had topics on it, because right, everyone's concerned, right? They're already kind of whipped up into an emotional state, right? Nobody wants to see Lue Elizondo or his family murdered, which was kind of alluded to. This was Danny Sheehan's tweet after this clip kind of went viral. In light of the public profile of my client Lue Elizondo and the fact that he has already endured multiple threats to him and his family, it was prudent to sensitize people to the fact that the person associated with the UFO back engineering program, who apparently committed suicide, could be yet another retaliation against a potential whistleblower. It wasn't until law enforcement concluded its investigation that we learned that no foul play was involved. Always better to be safe than sorry. My experience working historically in cases like Karen Silkwood has taught me that real threats do exist, and sometimes having greater public awareness is the way to defend against such egregious acts. I found that pretty interesting. Tupa's gone.
I'm back, baby. I had to reload the page. It froze. But I missed the statement.
Solid says that was good, Panda. Hell yeah, we're winning you over, Solid.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting statement. I think, dude, Danny definitely got some pushback after that, huh?
Yeah, to be a fly on the wall, man, of what these guys are doing behind the scenes. They're like, you know, how many angry phone calls? I want to know. Because it's strict narrative control. But Sheehan doesn't seem like he plays that game. He kind of just shoots from the hip a lot of times. Ask him a question, you'll get a good answer. So be on the lookout. If you're out there, if you're out there and you want info about this stuff, grab Sheehan into space. Again, pop into spaces. Give us a follow.
Yeah, and he said some things actually in there that I found pretty interesting too. He basically said they don't tell me everything because they know I'll go whistleblower mode in terms of like the Carl Nell, the disclosure push. So I don't know. Maybe there was some kind of weird little. It's always interesting to analyze these weird fractional divides up top, like when Jay Stratton and Lue Elizondo had a falling out, and it just goes to show like what narratives are being pushed, why. I think it's important. I'm a UFO nerd. I'm a conspiracy nerd, so I find this stuff interesting. We do have some clips here. We're going to cover some of the other kind of harassment in the community before we go all in on Lue's lying about this kind of stuff in the past. Here's Amy Eskridge, who we talked about yesterday, and like I guess we should say every time we talk about her family and alien scientists think she properly, not properly, but she actually did commit suicide. Frank Milburn and I believe her boyfriend at the time, Mark, and others thinks she was murdered. She sent messages before her alleged suicide saying, if you see any reports that I'm suicidal, I did not kill myself. So here's her talking about just some of that harassment, just to kind of give a brief overview of some of the other claims about harassment on this post-2017 push.
There is like a really super disturbing, and like I would probably have a panic attack if I saw it, but there's like a really super disturbingly huge, shockingly huge pile of intel on me personally that these people are using against me. Like they know more about me than maybe I do. It's really bad. It's really bad. They like know my nicknames, and they know like phrases that are significant to me existentially, and they know my friends. They're lurking in the accounts of like all my friends because they tweet me from my friends' accounts all the time with malware. They're just lurking there, and like it's bad. You should thoroughly understand the situation before you step into it, because I like dove headfirst into the rabbit hole, and I will admit I did it on purpose. I did. I totally did. I dove into the rabbit hole headfirst 100% on purpose. Did I understand what I was doing? Absolutely not.
Yeah, and that's another reason too why I choose to talk about this stuff. One, because I'm not afraid and I'm not a cuck to some fucking narrative. But two, me and Tupa get people into this topic, and I've had multiple people who tell me, "Oh, your videos got me into the topic." I come online, and then next thing you know, they're getting harassed by this shit. So I do feel a personal, like with what she said, like I wish someone would have told me before I got into it how fucking crazy it is. Yeah, that's why I do what I do, because my Spielberg documentary is about to fucking slap, and probably get more people into the document or into this community and environment and ecosystem.
It is pretty crazy. Like, a lot of people out there really enjoy UFOs, having a good UFO conversation at the water cooler. You know what I mean? Or just when you're out smoking a joint with the homies or something like that, you might talk about aliens. But when you get into the community aspect of it, if it's organized at all, this is a protected topic, always has been. And so even I found personally, as someone who got into it just with like art, it is full of traps. It is filled with weirdos. And I don't mean like, people who, are just strange. No. I mean like would feel like full-time actors. It's very strange. And they'll get you. So, in the worst way. Some of the worst harassment, doxing. I still don't know how they got some of the information they got about me, my family. This shit is nuts. You had to invest money. You have to invest money to get some of this bits of information. And I can speak to a lot of other people's experience too, but I'll just speak to mine. Like, this is a fact. This is crazy. And then being told too by UAP Mike that like there were multiple groups of people who were collecting information on me that I might not even have. So, yeah, with that statement from Amy, it does feel kind of hits home a little bit. So, fair warning to everybody out there. Watch from afar, but if you choose to participate, there are these traps. And if you want to know more about them, follow Red Panda, follow me, follow Skyfire News. No one else is talking about this. And I mean it. Not only is no one else talking about this, but like people discouraged us from talking about it.
Well, credit. Some people do. Project Unity calls it out.
John
Greenewald of the Blackvault, who's been in this community longer than
that's true.
Probably anyone who calls him Disinfo Shell calls it out.
John Majorowski, McGowan. Yeah, okay. So there are, but it's not. Yeah. It's like the difference between sea otters and river otters. You know what I mean? Like river otters band together, they could like chase down a caiman crocodile, kill it. So it's not a threat to them. Yeah. But you kind of, if the instinct is to kind of shh, and like I heard this statement today, and no offense to anybody like out there and to the person who said this, right? If you're listening, but the idea of like, basically if he's done if these people if horrible things are done, at least the ball's getting moved forward. Like, just kind of like that. No, I don't agree with that at all.
And again, that's why I say no one owns this topic. And when you allow yourself to have the mentality, you're giving too much power to someone. No one owns it. They're all just people at the end of the day. Chris Mellon, Lue Elizondo, Garry Nolan. No one owns this topic. So don't let anyone have that. But here's another clip. Here's Chris Mellon talking about a whistleblower having a heart attack before the man. I just always found this clip interesting, and I come back to it a lot.
These companies and supposedly had been directly involved in allegations is, and I was supposed to meet a fellow, for example, who supposedly was in one of these aerospace companies and supposedly had been directly involved in that activity. And we were about 2 weeks away from meeting when he died, when he had a heart attack. And, can't say, whether that was true or not, but that's one of the allegations. And it makes sense because if you're the government and say you recovered some debris and there were complex components and materials, right? You wanted to keep it secret, but have world-class technicians and scientists try to understand it. It would be natural that you would go to Lockheed Martin or Raytheon or.
Okay, so yeah, we have Chris Mellon there. Basically, he doesn't go out and say it fully, but he basically gives you all the pieces you need to insinuate it for yourself. That this dude was suspiciously died, at least. I definitely think, right, they have heart attack guns. They have ways to induce heart attacks in people.
You could probably do it through pumping a signal through your phone, to be honest, wherever you're at.
Yeah, I believe that for sure. Let's see, here's this. We got Pasulka talking about it.
So what I found was that there were several different factions within the perception management of UFOs. And one of the factions was responsible for sadly harassing people who do research. And I found this out by being harassed.
How so? How were you harassed?
Okay, so, here I am, just your average professor doing their work and, and doing it pretty well. And then I start to study UFOs thinking that they're not real, thinking that it's just a new form of religion. And then quickly having people come into my research sphere who are, part of CIA, part of FBI, that kind of thing. And then getting a shock that, whoa, this could be dangerous and maybe I shouldn't be doing this. But I did get harassed, though. I did get harassed, and it still happens.
Oh, how'd you get harassed?
Most of it is doxing and email harassment at my university began, and both to me and Garry at the same time, and people showing up.
People?
Yeah, people in my town showing up.
Like what kind of people? Schizophrenics?
No, but
no,
but people you wouldn't want to meet. Yeah,
loons.
Yeah.
But you think that's targeted? Do you think that's
on purpose? It's for sure.
But do you think that also that might just be people that are obsessed with this particular subject?
These are people that are affiliated with people in those
okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt.
To our credit too, but at least we were not really afraid of saying exactly who we're talking about. I think I wish you would be more open, right? As much as I love Pasulka.
Not a lot of, I mean, yeah. I love her. I think it's great. It's hard to criticize people for what they will and won't talk about because we really don't know what they have and haven't endured. I know she hasn't been left alone when it comes down to this kind of treatment too. So people have their own limits of what they can take, and it's just kind of sad that they get pushed, that those limits get even pressed at all. A lot of people have backed out of the community because of this kind of stuff. But fuck it, you know what I mean? I'll talk shit all day. I don't care. You know what I mean? I don't have any privileged information. Number one, here's a tip: don't take anybody's privileged information. If someone comes to you,
Jesse Michaels too. I was like, I never want to be in a position like that. That's just that's how they work you up to get. That's one of the ways they do it, at least.
Yes, it's not worth it. You don't want it. It's like a djinn or something. It's a curse. It's a curse upon you if you take on information. If you decide to become the mouthpiece or the tool, the asset of one of these guys, you're gonna have to play ball. And as someone said who had a long time ago, if you live by the access, you die by the access. Once they cut that off, you're done. Donezo. We've seen it before.
Ooh,
it's
that's
happened many times. It's crazy. I mean, we see it. And so don't take that information. If you created a water engine, a car that runs on water, don't tell anyone. Just save yourself some gas money. Tell your family. You know what I mean? If you have a free energy machine, keep it to yourself. Just hold on to that bad boy. It might be useful later on. But when it comes down to these guys out here peddling access, that's how these harassments and doxing and that's how this activity kind of stays alive. And so I'm pumped that Pasulka said anything. But more people need to talk about it. I bet you if people shared their DMs, just in people in the community on Twitter even, or on X, if they just shared their DMs, they'd see that the same people were in them talking the same shit to everybody. Probably like, you're special. Yeah, you're special. You're the only experiencer I've ever talked to on here. Like it's gonna be all that shit, and everybody will be really, really bummed out that they're not special. But it's gonna happen, and people will.
One of the allegations is.
All right, so here's Grusch
clips
from the testimony or from the hearing, and I guess just a brief reminder: David Grusch, the quote-unquote UFO whistleblower who I support, and he was part of the UAP task force, right? And he's spoken publicly about like what he learned in that capacity. Still would like some of his whistleblowers to come forward and whatnot, but he's asked. So at one point you had said that there has been harmful activity or aggressive activity. Has any of this activity been aggressive, been hostile in your reports? Grusch says, I know of multiple colleagues of mine that got physically injured, and the activity, Mr. Burleson cuts in, by UAPs or by people within the federal government. Mr. Grusch says both. He says, I cannot get into the specifics in an open environment, but at least the activity that I personally witnessed, and I have to be very careful here, because you do not, they tell you to never acknowledge tradecraft, right? So what I personally witnessed, myself and my wife, was very disturbing. And again, remember, this is interesting. This is Danny Sheehan we just listened to. He said that he found these things credible and the Lue thing not credible. But yeah, what do you think about that, Tuba?
I remember watching that live, and I'm just like, dude, just say it. What happened? You know what I mean? What happened? To be like, oh, what me and my wife witnessed was very disturbing. It's like, ooh, leaves me with more questions than answers. But yeah, spooky. I actually have that clip. I forgot about that. When that happened, that was a big moment. I was pumped about that.
Let's listen. Here's him on Tucker talking about a little bit, I think.
But it sounds like you believe you've been surveilled and threatened.
Oh, 100%. It was obvious to me. And, it was blatant, we'll just say, what I observed. And it was so concerning. I ended up reporting it to the authorities. And I asked my agency for certain protective measures. I can't get into that detail. But I was certainly petrified. And at the same time that those things were happening to me personally, they were happening at the same time to a certain other public figure that is known to the world, we'll just say, and another former intelligence officer near my home as well. And it was some kind of planned multi-person intimidation activity that was very disturbing. And I'll just leave it at that. But I'm not doing this for fun.
Some kind of planned multi-person thing, which I believe, Grusch. But now we're going to get to where your disclosure burner bros are going to get pissed off at me, and I do not care. Because we're going to talk about some of the people that attack Grusch were actually tied to this same UFO hate group that we're always talking about. And that's corroborated by Leslie Kean. So I think these might be separate things, but let's look at this. So there's Selwan, one of the crazy little King Milkfort simps out there, who, to his credit, has calmed down a lot. But this time last year was up front and center. So this is them talking about why they didn't go to the Washington Post. This is Leslie Kean. This is what she wrote on Facebook. To be clear, the Washington Post did not pass on our story. Ralph and I took it to the debrief because we were under growing pressure to publish it very quickly. Blumenthal told me that circumstances, including that Grusch's identity as the whistleblower had leaked out on the internet, pushed them to publish sooner than we'd hoped. If there had been no leaks, it might have been different. But people on the internet were spreading stories. Dave was getting harassing phone calls and felt the only way to protect him was to get the story out. And so this tweet from Swan says, "We are working to flesh out that cockroach David Grusch." And he's one of the Milk Fart crew, the Uplifting Tweets crew. And this is before Grusch went public. So there was something happened where he was incentivized to do that because I think they wanted to force him to go public. But again, right, you guys care about whistleblowers, right?
Leslie Kean speaks on the UFO hate group.
Sort.
He didn't even
phone calls from whom, of what sort?
He didn't even know who they were from. He doesn't answer them. There were also hostile actors out in the UFO community who were calling him, and there's a nasty Twitterverse out there. I don't know if.
Real quick, right there, you can see the tweet. So this is before Grusch went public, right? And Sawana said at other times too, Garry Nolan told him the name of David Grusch. But he says, David Grusch is the whistleblower that was supposed to come out in the Washington Post. He cock-teased the community. We are working to flesh out that cockroach, David Grusch. UFO Twitter, stay tuned.
If you don't know about it, Ezra, you're lucky. Because there's just it's a him, and there's a nasty Twitterverse out there. I don't know if you don't know about it, Ezra, you're lucky. Because there's just it's a very contentious arena out there of people who are involved with this topic, and they will sometimes try to cause harm to people, like Grusch. And so I think it was a legitimate concern when things start to leak. You don't even know how this information is getting out.
And I got a question for Swan. Why did you go against Grusch early on before he went public? Someone told you that he was a disinfo agent. Who told you he was a disinfo agent?
First of all, then that's why I stopped following Mike. Because Mike tried to put me on to try to oust Grusch because Grusch
Not
didn't
me,
come
Mike.
Out.
Okay, which Mike?
Which Mike are you talking about, Swan? Not me. So he says Mike Disclosure right there, right? And that's the guy who's part of Fessler's show.
What's the name of the show?
Followed by Lue Elizondo. Disclosure tonight, and we have some clips of Elizondo. That's one of Elizondo's favorite things. He's the one we called into about his book and whatnot. We're also going to be covering some of the Garry testimony. But
hold on. Let's not move past Garry. I mean, this is insane because you have this group, and they all do associate with one another. We'll go over that in a second. You have this group. And they were responsible for attacking David Grusch. And Sawan says because Grusch needed to come out. What's psychotic about this is that it's this group that later went on to create a ribbon to stop the harassment of David Grusch. So everyone put this ribbon on as soon as Grusch came out. So I want you guys, just if you can, follow me here, okay? There is a group of attack dogs that Sawan associates with. Mike Disclosure, Disclosure Tonight, podcast that Lue Elizondo and his friends all go on. And they go on it all the time. I mean, we reference this all the time, right? So this is there's like a little network of podcasts and stuff that these UFO insiders like to go through. And those guys have their own little attack dogs and stuff. Okay, so you guys might, if you weren't around when the ribbon was being shared, you might not understand the gravity of what Red and I are telling you here. But the group that was attacking David Grusch created a ribbon to stop the harassment of David Grusch, and then started that trend, and everyone on UFO Twitter put it on like it was the Ukrainian fucking flag. Now, I'm being dead ass serious. Everyone put it on. And the people who created it were the people who attacked Grusch in the first place because Grusch, in their words, needed to come out. This is happening all the time. This level of insanity, the same group attacking becomes the group that becomes the victim. And, we're just supporting Grusch. Well, why were you attacking him in the first place? So you're the reason the ribbon is even made. You're the reason people think people are attacking Grusch, and you create the ribbon, and now that's your perfect mask. That's the perfect cover. Why would anyone suspect these guys for doing this? I mean, this is the insanity that's happening on UFO Twitter. This is like what Keemstar saw when he popped in, like, what the fuck is good? What is this? Anyone from the outside looking in might not notice it right away, but I'm telling you, like, this guy here, Sawan, is involved with this group. I mean, we have examples of him talking to everyone else in the group to attack certain people, to attack Corbell, to not attack Corbell, now to attack David Grusch. Red and I have always been against the harassment of anyone. Even when these guys start harassing each other, we're always like, we disavow it. These guys attacked him, then created the ribbon to support him from the attacks. David Grusch, I hope you're listening. David Grusch, I hope you find this message well. The people who attacked you created your ribbon. Someone is like wagging the dog. This is fucking weird. It's so insane that, like.
And again, disclosure Mike, the one who he said told him to put to, because Mike tried to put me on to try to oust Grusch because Grusch needed to come out. That person is followed by Lue Elizondo, frequently interacts with Lue Elizondo, is on disclosure tonight. We'll cover a little bit more of that coming up here. But yeah, it's very, very weird stuff. And it's designed to look like drama. It's designed to make you hate me and Tupa for talking about it, right? But again, we don't care.
Well, we didn't attack David Grusch. I got nothing to fucking hide. I'm not taking orders from some rando on some bitch-ass podcast. I don't give a shit. Go watch Disclosure tonight. Tell me what you think. Come back and give me the review. I'll hear you out. We can talk about it in the spaces.
I think
these guys,
show. When they're not doing this weirdo shit, I like their show actually. But this weirdo stuff.
It's very nice of you. It's very nice of you, Red. But this shit rubs me the wrong way, always will. I don't care how close to Elizondo you are. I don't care how entertaining your show is. I don't give a shit about your show if it's like ran by these weirdos who are out here telling people who to attack. I mean, we literally, like, now we praise David Grusch. They attacked the hero of Disclosure, and they've never come out and admitted it. They've never said, oh, you know what, that was actually us, but we were doing it because of this reason and this reason. They never said that. We never got any kind of example for like they're pretending like it never happened. Not only are they fucking pretending that it never happened, they're pretending that like they're the ones who's tried to stop it in the first place. And everyone ate it up. Everyone ate it up. And you wonder why sometimes, like, Red and I, we talk to people. We were kind of, I mean, if you guys haven't pieced this together yourself, you know, because this is how layered it is. This is how layered it is. This fucking rando dude, Sawan, he has said the most vile shit to people in spaces. To me, even. Not afraid of using the F word. I'm not talking about fuck. He's not afraid of using it. Straight. These guys are fucking insane. Hear him in the spaces. There's recordings of it. Go check it out. These guys were attacking a whistleblower, David Grusch. Who is threatening whistleblowers? Sawan was. That's the only person I can only point to one fucking person who did it. We're gonna get these cockroaches out. Red, have these guys ever called you a cockroach before?
Yeah, and
so in a way,
stuff, yeah.
So, I mean, are you being threatened by these same people who are threatening the whistleblowers? Fucking maybe. Hey, listen. Gallaudet. Garry Nolan. Lue Elizondo. Hit up Sawan. You guys are so fucking smart. If you guys want to see who where these valid threats are coming from, I'd start with the only person who we know threatened anyone and continue to do so at the behest of someone who just wanted to push a narrative because Grusch needed to come out. It was up to them. They knew better than Grusch. So their tactic was to call him a cockroach and that they were going to flush him out.
Mark Howell says, Disclosure tonight has never said anything bad about Grusch. And that's true, but there was a brief period when they thought he wasn't going to come out. That Sawan says he was told to try and oust Grusch.
Yeah, okay, let's deal with this. Disclosure Tonight has never said anything bad about Grusch, but Mike Disclosure, who works for Disclosure Tonight, convinced Sawan, a known maniac, to attack Grusch in tweets and threaten him. And it changed the direction in which the narrative went based on who got the story because of these threats. So Disclosure Tonight has never said anything bad about Grusch. Well, they certainly had someone attack him for him. Someone associated with Disclosure Tonight definitely had Sawan attack him according to Sawan's own statements. So fucking digest that. Swallow it. Drink it down. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's the level of craziness here.
Let's listen to this real quick, too, before we continue the presentation. This is Sawan. It's what Tupa talked about him getting a call to not... So he was harassing all these people, right? He's on the record saying he's the one who harassed Sean Kirkpatrick on LinkedIn. And this is just stuff they're saying on the record. They're probably fucking more insane off the record. But here's him. There was a brief period for like a day. He started going after Jeremy Corbell and Weaponize for saying they don't produce evidence. And mind you, this is amidst him attacking all these other people too. And he gets a call. And listen to what he says, who are these people that give him a call.
Like you're a rogue now.
So yeah, I just tweeted that out. So I was pissed at Corbell, but then some people that know Corbell well told me this is how it has to be. Like some people that know Corbell and know what's going on with this disclosure process talked to me about it and told me to chill the fuck out and understand why Corbell was doing what he is doing. So I'm not going to give him a hard time about it anymore.
Yeah, Sawan's had several pull aside talking tos, and he knows what's up. He's been learned. I think everything's gonna be just fine.
Can you tell uplifting tweets to unblock me?
Yeah, there's literally maniacs in this community who are being told who to attack and who not to attack, and sometimes that even extends to David Grusch, because I know some people don't like to care about anyone else other than the big names, but Leslie Kean herself, right, on the New York Times podcast, one of the biggest newspapers in the world, said we had to rush out this story because people on UFO Twitter had found his name and were threatening him and trying to oust him. And then we have Sawan, who is one of those people. Like, it's just so weird. Let's see.
Sawan, right, being talked to by someone who knows Corbell well to not attack Corbell. Sawan, who has had several talking tos. These guys are that corny. All right, so just try to really process that these guys have a direct connection. The guys you just heard, they have a direct connection to Garry Nolan, to Sean Cahill, to Lue Elizondo. Just a direct connection, and they were involved in attacking David Grusch. Does David Grusch know that he had attack dogs, the reason why his name got leaked was because of people who associate with Lue? Isn't Lue Elizondo like a security director for To the Stars Academy? I mean, is he not associated with the company anymore? Security director is interesting. That's an interesting title. In my opinion, it's an interesting title. I mean, why would Lue Elizondo's attack dogs attack David Grusch? Does David Grusch know that? That's a good question.
Yeah, and
TBD.
We have this comment from UFO Defector, says Lue put Manny on blast for making the movie, but won't name the people who visit him, etc. LOL. That's a very good point. We're about to cover that too. So Manny 503, friend of the show, he made this documentary called Who's Lue? Which honestly I think was pretty fair, and he actually went to great lengths to not include Lue's family or whatnot, but this was viewed 2 years ago as some big attack on Lue, and this is what I'm talking about when I say there's a history of Lue claiming these attacks are happening to him that aren't really happening, and then people getting worked up to go defend who they view as a disclosure hero, idol, god. So after that,
Crypto Mike disclosure.
Here we go. So after that, here's Lue on Disclosure Tonight after that documentary came out. And after the question about if he was running sock puppet accounts to harass people came out, here's him working up these people. So there's definitely a clear connection.
I hope it doesn't for their sake, because karma has a tendency to pay back twofold sometimes. And what I've always told my dog, she thought of the conversation. You're the reason why people, not you guys, but those are the type of people, the reasons why people never took this topic seriously to begin with. Because when you said UFO, that's what you thought of. You thought of some dude in a basement at 35 years old sitting in his own. Just to the point. Well, appreciate it, guys. But remember, back to Rudyard Kipling, right? The strength of the wolf is a pack. I can only do what I'm doing because you guys are doing what you're doing, and your audience is doing what they're doing. So thank you for all. And this is a team effort. And I look to my shoulder right and left, and I see all of you. So thank you for being along, on this journey.
We just wanted you to know that the pack has your back too.
Oh yeah.
10-4, appreciate it, Rob, more than you know. It really, it helps. It really does.
I mounted the attack, called in my chief, Rob, my cohort in this, and we took it on. And it wasn't just us; it was a bunch of people.
The people who are in on the secret, and then he, shares the special knowledge with them, and really gets them to go out and attack his critics.
No, my friend. No, my friend. That's where the BS stands for bullshit, not be squidding. When people started attacking Lue,
first and foremost, they just need to stop. But whatever pressure it's going to take to get them to do it, that's their call, not anyone else's. They're going to get back on them what they're pushing 100%.
Probably don't need to go with a battle cry, but the reality of it is that's what we have. We do have a battle cry. We do have a call for action, a call to arms. The start of the edge. I put out some tweets. This is a call to arms. This is the call to action for all of us to come together and support this great man and what he's doing. There's some real haters out there. There's some people, it was over on Rich Giordano over at Goofon last night, and he was going and, they've been nothing but
this process to go forward. You kind of need to put a little pressure on the people that are hampering this conversation from moving forward further in the public arena. Well, they're sitting behind a keyboard, anonymity
in their mom's house.
Right. That doesn't last forever with that, and they motivate some people. And Lue is not going to take any action, but I dare say that there are people that will find the motivation on their own cognizance. I don't want to say much more because I don't want to incriminate myself or give anybody the wrong impression, but people need to put some pressure on people to get them to stop if they want information to go forward.
I hope it.
So reminder, this is about Manny's documentary they're talking about, and I don't want to say much more because I don't want to incriminate myself. Totally normal things to say. Let's go ahead and to the next one. I think we got. So this is what they do. So then Fessler, at behest of Lue, he copyright strikes the documentary, right, and gets all of Manny's legal documentation, and then they use that to harass Manny, who's a ufologist, civilian ufologist. And again, Garry Nolan said he felt personal when somebody told him, like, hey, there might be attacks. What is Manny supposed to feel like when he makes a documentary with all factual, evidence-based research about one of these disclosure pushers, and because of that, his girlfriend, who's not part of this community, starts getting viciously attacked. You know what I mean?
Thomas Fessler also copyrights Kean and
fair use. Well, there is stuff you can do about fair use, and I've got the documents today we're going to be getting in tonight to go ahead and cite 25 violations in the Area 503 mockumentary of the illegal use and the use of content. When I was asked, I specifically said, no, do not use it. Of course, which I got a ton of stuff pushback on it and everything, and basically saying, no, I'm going to do what I want to do.
But I do find it interesting that in 7 or 8 years, nobody ever doxed me, nobody ever found me. And just a few weeks after I had to give legal papers to YouTube to a false copyright claim, who's buddies with some of these assholes, suddenly everybody's got all my personal information, my home address and everything. It's great.
Huh. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. I saw that too. They did, they use these systems to get our information, that was not very cool of this person to jump in and get involved where he didn't need to. And he, that just kind of makes him look bad. But we can't be responsible for how other people act. Ultimately,
being honest about him, I've been doxxed, threatened, and all kinds of nonsense. People are coming to my live chat, threatening my family members by name because, these right-click researchers are so.
Until Thomas Fessler obtained my name in a legal document, my name had never been on the internet. And now it's being spread everywhere. For your karma, Lue. Thanks.
Why the hell are you watching?
Okay, so this is just a little bit about, because again, this is Lue's favorite show. Now we have these statements. So Juan was part of this show when all that stuff was happening with the Grusch thing that we just covered.
So Juan was part of Disclosure Tonight?
Oh yeah, he was on their show for like probably 6 or 8 months.
He's one of the craziest attack dogs they have. I didn't realize he was actually on the show.
Yeah, and so this is Garry, real
You
quick.
can't gloss over that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, am I harping on this too much? Does this sound sufficiently fucking insane to anybody else? That we have a document of this guy, a recording of him admitting, along with the tweet, that he was attacking David Grusch, that they attack people and these guys are associated with the show that Lue Elizondo goes on all the time. We've been close to this kind of research for a while. I mean, this stuff is going on, but I find this today, right now, to be particularly disturbing because it's so clear cut. And I there's so much to go over all the time, Red. I never really think about this shit like this, and like not all of it. You know what I mean? But to have all of these guys admitting to associating with one another, being on each other's show, having that show be an outlet for Lue's calling him his fucking wolf pack, and these guys are out here acting like his attack dogs. I mean, I have my own theories now about the question of the show, right? The question of today's show is who is threatening whistleblowers? And what I think is dark. I think something fucking really dark is going on. Because this is not normal behavior in the slightest. If you engage in behavior like this, you're power tripping, you're set tripping. You know what I mean? You think your inflated sense of like fucking what your role is. I mean, I've had several conversations with Sawan. All of them were psychotic. Like he just screamed, you know what I mean? Repetitive. Like he did not sound like an intelligent person. This is Lue Elizondo's favorite megaphone, huh? This is who he chose. This is the people he associates with.
Yeah, and here we have Garry, the producer on that show. When all this stuff was
What a
going
loser.
down, and John Greenewald was attacked because this is when the ICIG complaint came out. Anyways, he sends an email to Lue Reviews, and he also commented this to John Greenewald of the Blackvault of what was going on behind the scenes with Lue Elizondo and Disclosure Tonight. I'm just going to read them real quick. So the first one I'm reading this is to Lue Reviews. Hi, Lue. This is Garry. I know we have had our arguments in the past, but I have to tell you something. I was overhearing a couple of calls between Rob and Lue Elizondo. They didn't know I was there, and they were both on a mission to bring down various YouTube channels. It was at this point I lost faith in Lue and realized that I had been a pawn in his game. Being promised things, I was having trouble with another community destroying my life and pushing me to the brink of suicide many times. I was told they would sort my issues if I helped them. I'm an idiot, so I believed it, hoping that I would get closure on what had happened to me before. Turns out that was a total lie. Thomas also was promised bullshit things from Lue too that never transpired after being asked to go out and defend him and his family. So I just want to point that out real quick, that defend him and his family. This is what I'm talking about. And like, there's a history of this. This is somebody who literally says, I was worked up to do things. And like, yeah. Thomas won't reveal any of this because Rob has caused enough shit already. But I wanted you to know that Richard Butt was discussed too. And I did the thing that is very untrustworthy, something I shouldn't have done, but I did as I didn't trust him. I recorded those conversations. And those combos I think still exist. And hopefully one day we'll get Garry on here to talk about it. But yeah. I have those conversations still on my computer. I'm unsure what to do about them. They will know it was me if it leaks out, but it also shows that you were absolutely correct in your recent show. They have been using us all to turn against each other, and it has worked. You'll notice that we separated as far away from Rob Heatherly as possible. He was looking people up, calling local authorities, and asking Lue to gather information on you all. Yeah, so then here's his comment to John Greenewald of the Blackvault, who's also commented on this about he's I should have pulled this too, maybe I will. He said, like, this isn't drama, this is counter intel ops. Just recently Sean Cahill called him out and he talked about this too, where it's like they said that thing about his router information. And actually, you know what? That actually might be worth playing after these. So this is John Greenewald too. This is Garry, the producer of Disclosure Tonight, Lue's favorite show. What he wrote to John Greenewald. Very well put together, John. A very insightful and thorough deep dive. There's the cult of Lue, and sadly I was a part of it for a while. Doing things and saying things I shouldn't have done. When I stepped back from it and started applying logic instead of blindly following, I noticed a lot of new things. I also know what is going on behind the scenes. There is more to this than meets the eye. casually place people in certain social media areas controlling various things, and to make sure the die-hard followers react to create disorder and chaos. And the same the other way, talking to you privately, making you feel like you are doing the right thing, being promised stuff that never happens, and the second you question something, you are booted out. There's a few people working on behalf of Lue on UFO Twitter at the moment whose quote-unquote job it is to make sure we keep fighting. It worked on me for a while. I'm glad to be out of it. It's too nasty and vicious and calculated. Another angle they use is recruiting veterans, because it's frowned upon to call out veterans so people don't question anything. It's all a club. Again, thank you, John, for all your hard work on this.
They do that. What a dark statement.
Yeah, real dark. Riff on that for one more second. I'm looking for something real quick.
I had an interaction with some of these guys. I was a mod on Disclosure Tonight a while ago because I think I said something funny. I don't know what happened, but there was a crazy a meme that got posted about John Greenewald beating his own kid, and this is like on Father's Day, and it said like Happy Father's Day, and I was like, I think this is kind of fucked up, and I tweeted that. I said this is kind of fucked up. John seems like a good dad, which he does. And then they came at me and they were like, and when I say they, I think it was Richard Butt, who this crew claims is some insider. Fuck you, Richard Butt. And then there was, I think it was Rob Heatherly, and they try to convince me that John Greenewald shouldn't be defended because he was mocking a veteran that was about to die, and that he was openly mocking him. And I said, that sounds crazy. Show me what you're talking about. And they just kept on telling me and framing what had happened to me, that John Greenewald openly mocked him, this dying veteran who probably wouldn't even last the week. That's what they told me. It's all in black and white. I have the tweets. And so I said, just show me what you're talking about. Let me see what you're talking about. And there was a clip, and it was John Greenewald, and I think what he said was, or it was a tweet, and it said, I thought Lue Elizondo was retiring from doing podcasts. Because Lue Elizondo was on this guy Shannon Scott's podcast, and I guess Shannon wasn't doing great health-wise at the time. And so Greenewald had just said, I thought that Elizondo was done with doing podcasts. And so these guys try to take that and basically do what this guy here says, this Garry guy, act. What he said is they recruit veterans because it's frowned upon to criticize them. And so what happened to me was this same crew, right, were telling me that I shouldn't defend John Greenewald from being called an abusive father on Father's Day because in their eyes he criticized and mocked a veteran, but he didn't. And I called him out for that. And I'll do it all the time. I do it all the time. Fuck you. I should watch my language. I think it sucks, and it was really low and shallow and manipulative to try to get me to go along with the mocking of a father on Father's Day because they inferred some type of trespass, and it was really not there. Crazy.
So here's John Greenewald talking about some of this stuff because they've launched like a few different campaigns. It's usually around him employing something that makes this group look like not so trustworthy. Let's see.
And rightfully so, but there are some aspects that don't like to bog down too much of this channel with it. But those are important questions. There's a lot of aspects to this conversation that some do label as drama, and rightfully so. But there are some aspects that really, I hope, get handled soon because there's a lot of layers to this onion. And that segment that you saw me record tonight really highlights, I think, the secrecy behind this, the exploitation, as they called it, the analysis. What do they have? And with that, I keep going back to the counterintelligence value to all of this. The counterintelligence value to the UAP conversation is astronomical, pardon the pun. They can achieve so much by muddying the waters from concealing the true part of these phenomena that I think warrant scientific investigation. Yes, I do believe that there's an aspect of it. They can hide and shield that top secret technology and capability that, yes, is part of this conversation, which includes the evil drones that no one wants to talk about. That's part of this conversation. It also allows them to shield the ignorance on what's going on. And yeah, I believe that there's part of that in this conversation, that something is there, alien or not, that they have no idea what it is. And so that counterintelligence play that comes in is muddy the water so much. We have no idea what we know and don't know. And that is the true root definition of what counterintelligence is. So people that are trained in counterintelligence that come out and join the UAP conversation and tell us, well, I know more than you do, but I can't tell you. They shouldn't be surprised why we're questioning that we're not all on the bandwagon going, thank you for being here and enlightening all of us to your wisdom. No offense to anybody that works in counterintelligence. I've got some buddies that do, still do, that are in the Pentagon. But sorry, they need to mess it up. That's what CI is all about. That's what the whole truth is about to counterintelligence. And if you look at the overall picture, the messing up, the muddying of the waters has achieved something that may or may not have been intended. I'm not really sure. But those that look at the evidence, there are factions of belief systems here. There are anywhere from this is aliens to this is only top secret tech, and there's everything in between. So whether or not that was a desired result or not, I have no idea. But mission accomplished anyway, because that counterintelligence value was there to mess all this up. Mission accomplished, because we have no idea what's there. So that's what the aim for me is moving forward, is to see how much evidence I can get battling that security classification guide and peeling away the layers of the onion, because I guarantee we don't know all the layers, but I also guarantee we don't know the majority of the layers of this onion. So many people think we're there, and we've peeled back so much, and we've come so far, and it's disclosure. I don't see it. And that's not being a skeptic. It's not being a debunker. It's dealing in reality and evidence, like that security classification guide. So keep asking questions, and don't be afraid to ask them. Don't be intimidated. Don't be afraid if it's a stupid question. I don't care if you direct it to the Pentagon, to me, or to some anonymous account making silly claims. Don't be afraid. Because part of that counterintelligence mission, if there is one, and again, if there is one, is to make it that you are afraid to ask the questions, that they will bring out legal threats against you, or intimidation, or bullying, or sock puppet accounts, or anonymous identities used to just suppress what you're saying or what you're asking. If there's a massive cover-up like I think there is, don't let them do it. I don't know if it's an official PSYOP.
Based John Greenewald there. Let me see, I got this other clip too. Because this happened, where we at? Boom, boom, boom. Sorry, 1 second. Okay. Okay, you see that, right? Cool.
I can't see anything.
Or duh sounds in their name, but you should learn to mask your router locations. Y'all kind of stay. Tweets out, no offense to folks with green.
So this is Sean Cahill a few weeks back, Lue Crew, and this is John Greenewald responding to him basically saying, Patrick, friend of the show, is about to read it.
Street, go, gal, wall, or duh sounds in their name, but you should learn to mask your router locations. Y'all kind of stanky at this for payroll. And I just thought, wait, what is happening? How can someone who's considered a leader in the UFO community tweet out stuff like this? Like, what was your, because in my opinion, he's talking about you. You're one of the people he's talking about, saying that he's, your router location. First of all, it's just creepy that someone is monitoring router locations and even looking into that stuff. Like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
Like, nothing against Sean Cahill. I don't know him. I've never met him. I've never spoke to him. I know I've made one video that included him, but that just seems creepy to me, to send out something like that and let people know you're doing that. I mean, that says more about him than what he's trying to get across in this message. But yeah, I'm curious how you took that, and if you do agree that he's talking about you.
I do. Yeah. You look at the wall and that's a play on my name. My last name is Greenewald. So that's how you say Wald. On top of that, he's talking about Stephen Greenstreet. That's obvious by the first two. He's talking about Jeremy McGowan, who was a close associate and friend.
Real quick too, and just so people know, Sean Cahill, he was on the Nimitz, and he was just a witness. And just much like Jeremy McGowan, he kind of got picked up by Lue when they were doing that whole unidentified show. But unlike Jeremy McGowan, he kind of stood around Lue. And I'm not hating on that. I think that's cool that they're friends or whatever. But he's definitely like a part of this disclosure movement push. You'll see him on Fox News, CNN, kind of talking about this disclosure stuff. So to have him say stuff like this, again, it's just really weird.
One time of Sean Cahill and Lue Elizondo, who has, I'm not going to speak for him, but obviously have done a 180 here. Used to be friends and very close with them to, not so much, and has written some pretty scathing articles that, if for those who are interested, you should read them, because Jeremy's story is not alone. And I found that out over the years. And then
pause. Yes, everyone should read the Jeremy McGowan articles. He's talking about getting close to Lue, having Lue lie to him, and then basically being harassed by Lue's fucking incel doxing army. They tried to get his security clearance taken away. They constantly post pictures of his family and underage kids, and really gross, with gross edits made to him.
Where can they find his articles?
They try to get him fired. They're on Medium, so just type in Jeremy McGowan Medium, and you could read it. It's a 4-part thing. And like I said, that's just another Jason Sands. So people are like, oh, no, they want to cry out stuff. Jeremy McGowan, he's just a dude who was in the military in the 90s, saw a UFO. Interesting enough that the History Channel and all these disclosure bros wanted to platform him and use his story for their gains, right? But then the second he said, like, hey, they actually were lying about some things, and this he's persona non grata now, right? And that's the point I'm making is this could happen to anyone in this field, in this subject. But let's continue.
And then the Go, and that's obviously, most people call her Susan Go. I had to increase my screen size here, so I'm sorry, my eye line's bad. But most people call her Susan Go. That's not even the correct pronunciation, but that's who she's referring, or that's who he's referring to. It's actually Susan Goff. So obviously he was talking about that. Then he makes the comment about the router location. Now, look, I'm not going to get into the technical mumbo jumbo here, but if you know anything about networking, routing, and what your 192 address is, it means absolutely nothing. But it's the core of what he's trying to say about sniffing out people's routers and their location. And this is a trend by former counterintelligence agents and even former military people of intimidating those that are looking for answers. And my initial thought on this is I shook my head thinking, this is getting ridiculous. This is getting out of hand, because the things that I'm doing, I'm looking into what our taxpayer money went to, and I'm looking at what taxpayer paid individuals did. There is nothing wrong with that, not from a journalistic standpoint, not even from a moral standpoint. And if they are so upset over what I'm finding, then it's not me they should be mad at. And they should be asking questions amongst themselves. And if they have answers to some of the questions that I've brought up, or some of the information I've come out with, then just answer it and address it and be done with it. And I've given the opportunity so many times to people that is largely and usually met unanswered. And that's not fair to instead of addressing those types of questions that a lot of people want the answers to, it's not fair to ignore that, but then turn around and start making these veiled threats about finding people's router locations and so on and so forth. And it makes you wonder, what is this trend? Why are there these people that are tied into the same group that are making these types of veiled threats? And yeah, they're threats. And
again, so this is really, and actually it's interesting because this kind of ties into the Gallaudet statement, right? Sean Cahill says that Greenstreet, Susan Go, Greenewald, well, Susan Go I think actually kind of is, but that they're on the payroll, right? So, and Tim Gallaudet today said he thinks people are online to pay to discredit Lue. It's interesting, but yeah, God bless John Greenewald. Everyone go support him. The people who have courage to actually call this stuff out, which is, it's just crazy that we're even at a point that we have to, that we're weird for saying it's weird to be telling people, I mean, your router locations. Yeah. Okay. So we have like a few more things, last couple things. We're going to cover some of the Kirkpatrick, the threats against him. And like we said, we call out all harassment here. Kirkpatrick's made a lot of claims too, right? That he's been threatened. And it's interesting the way the community responded to this. And to be clear, I think the Arrow historical report was very much so lacking. And, but I have seen this group, and like Sawan was on Fessler's show when he said I was the one who was harassing Kirkpatrick on LinkedIn. And there's clearly a, like, for example, when Gary the Brave says there's people who like work people up, I think Matt Ford is one of those. Every time you see Matt Ford put out one of his like black and white pictures of somebody, calling them a debunker, disinfo agent, that's usually paired with the harassment from this group. That happened with our old friend Paranormal Chris. He posted a video, Tom DeLong, basically saying Lue Elizondo saved General Mattis, or was saved by General Mattis in Afghanistan, that Chris looked into, and it was actually not factually correct. The next day, Matt Ford puts out one of those posts, and then the day after that, all of his little, these people that Lue follows were accusing Paranormal Chris of being a rapist and these really disgusting things. And he left the platform and he went away for a while, and that was the goal. But here's Sean Kirkpatrick.
Did the strong feelings on either sides of the issue come home in a personal way for you? Were you ever subjected to harassment?
Absolutely. That came home a number of times, not only to me, but to other people associated with the office, in the form of harassment and threatening letters. I even had some guy show up at my house. It makes it very difficult to do this job.
When you say a guy showed up at your house, what was that about?
That was early on, right, after I got announced, and the FBI did a great job of swinging into action, track this guy down. I was told, because I never had to confront him, that he was an emotionally disturbed person that had showed up on my property and had stayed there overnight and was just waiting. And unfortunately, my wife came across him, so that was a bit unnerving, but they got him and arrested him.
And how was it for your staff?
This is a point of contention with the public and with Congress that I have refused all the way up to my last days to provide names of people working on my team and my staff to anyone outside of the department. And the reasons for that are safety and security and privacy, right? That has added fuel to the conspiracy fire. We got letters at the Pentagon all the time. We get emails all the time. And of course, in social media, I get beat up often.
Because there's a narrative out there that the Pentagon really has secret information that it's not revealing. Is that the principal complaint?
Yeah, it's that. And then they further then accuse me as being the spokesperson that's lying for the government and hiding all of this.
Yeah, so, and then it was crazy. Remember when this got reported, our friend Danny early on came on the show. And there was like almost a push. And honestly, for this, I would like to see the police report on this too. I think we ought to keep 100 all the way across the board. But my gut tells me I believe this. We definitely have more information about this than the alleged attacks against Lue, right?
That's what I'm saying.
But we're not allowed to talk about this. And if anything, we're about to show Garry Nolan kind of like cheering it on, which is crazy. But here's another clip of him talking about it.
Sean Kirkpatrick.
With a senior technical has to.
So what's also interesting here to point out, he's asked a question that was first raised on Matt Ford of the Good Trouble show. Matt Ford, like a few days before this, had said that he had received word, which is probably from Lue Elizondo, that there's a secret Arrow committee or whatever like that. And listen to Sean Kirkpatrick gets asked this question that was first raised by Matt Ford and immediately goes into her. He's connecting those within his own mind.
To do with a senior technical advisory group that you must have stood up, that is helping advise the work you do. So they're just questions about that group. What is it made up of? Are these people from outside government? Is this that academic and scientific community you just referenced?
So it's a strategic technical advisory group. They don't like to be called senior. and they actually do work. They're the review board for, the analytic framework consists of multiple layers of review, and they're one of the layers of review. We don't give out names and identities of anybody associated with this office other than me and a handful of very specific people, because of the fact that the harassment and the threats that are attendant to our ability to do this job. And I know we had the same problem with the NASA panel. I'm not going to subject my team to that. I have some of the best professionals on the face of the planet working some of this. But I'm not going to subject them or their families to that kind of harassment that is making our job a lot harder. I've had people try to dig up information on my wife, my child, where I live, make threats, send harassments. Just, that's not called for.
And what is the claim? Is the claim that you're evil because you haven't said what they want you to say about the sources of these anomalous sightings?
That's a great way of saying it, but I would put it a different way, right? I told everybody when we stood up, I would follow the data wherever it led.
Mm-hmm.
That means you have to follow the data and the evidence where it leads. If you don't like where it leads, don't call me a liar and then come after me.
What I want to find out is at pretty much every public speaking event Kirkpatrick's been at, other than the first one with that Senate hearing, he's spoken about this. And I mean, we've seen it online. Like, he's definitely persona non grata within this community. Yeah, and again, it's like what I said. Like, Garry Nolan was feeling all personally attacked when he was told about it by someone else. But like, Kirkpatrick has people at his house. Like, imagine, and God forbid, I would hate for this to ever happen, where like a dude showed up to Lue Elizondo's house when like he wasn't there and only his wife, right? Like, I'd be pissed.
That'd be terrible.
Right? Yeah, but it's like this happens to Kirkpatrick, and it's just kind of like, haha. You know what I mean? Here's Garry Nolan.
Don't claim you're doing science if you're not doing science.
Do you think Sean Kirkpatrick was in there deliberately to obfuscate, to disinform, to do that role in a non-neutral manner? Or do you believe that's just how things turned out?
You know, look, I can't read the man's mind, but I can read his actions and how he went about things. And all I can say is, I didn't see a professional operating at the helm, and certainly the ways that he talked about things don't lead me to believe that he's unbiased. Now, you know, I think everybody held their tongue like me until he started casting aspersions left and right at people. You know, so don't cry and whine as he did that people are attacking him. When he went out of his way to attack others. I mean, if you can't dish it out, if you can't take it, don't dish it out.
So why is it so hard for people to be like, hey, like, and he's clearly talking about what we're talking about, right? When he says people are attacking me, it's usually that same vein of what we heard him talk about. It's just so weird that we're supposed to have all this sympathy for these alleged threats and alleged phone calls that people are receiving that they might be attacked. But when Kirkpatrick is saying, yo, people showed up to my kids and wife, people are trying to look up information about my whole family, we're supposed to be like, oh, if you can't dish it out, don't take it. I've never seen Kirkpatrick do anything crazy like that.
Well, that's why these lunatics and losers and psychos aren't culture leaders. That's why it's taken them so long to get the attention of real people. That's why they've had to hire actors and have people like Queen Milkfart and uplifting tweets go out there and do their dirty laundry for them. These are not smart people. Just because you have a PhD and some patents or whatever, I mean, it's different. There's different types of intelligences. And if you can't see the writing on the wall, or you think that we don't see the writing on the wall, fuck yourself, dude. Like, these guys are crazy. This is crazy. To see a person suffering, like Sean Kirkpatrick had a guy show up at his house, and I'm witness to the types of harassment that goes down from these exact same people. David Grusch is witness to it. And the idea of being like, fuck it. You know, I got this feeling sometimes that some of these UFO insiders, this core group of believers that even Kirkpatrick talks about, that they are on a all or nothing train. that it's all or nothing. They're going for it. They're going to no holds barred, take no prisoners. They're going for disclosure. However they're going to do it. They see a time limit. They see a limited. They see a reason for urgency, and an excuse to lie, and they're happy to do so. Well, I'm not happy to be lied to, and I'm not happy to watch people suffer and to be like, oh, they're pushing the ball forward. I'm sorry, man. That's why I don't think these guys are going to be able to grasp the culture. They're missing it altogether. They have no idea how to talk to real people. They need like all these different mouthpieces. The Good Trouble Show, people who don't ask questions. It's weird.
And it just kind of
weird.
goes to show it's disappointing because I still think a lot of these guys do good, but it makes it like when you hear him say stuff like this in light of what Kirkpatrick has said, the attacks levied against him. It makes sense that we have now evidence that he's in DMs with Milkfart. All these people interact with like the worst serial harassers in this community, which again wasn't a thing before 2017, 2018, and doesn't have to be a thing. And no one owns UFOs. So yeah, that's about it for this. What do you think, Tupa? After everything you've seen, who's attacking Lue?
Lue, I think you're attacking yourself. Prove otherwise. Let me see it. Show the paperwork. Because from what I've seen, you got your own little attack dogs out here doing work. They don't know who the fuck they're dealing with. They don't know who they're taking orders from. Swan's out here talking shit about Corbell, then has to be talked to about talking shit about Corbell. It's like, it seems sloppy. And you know what looks sloppy? Disclosure Tonight. I don't like that show. I don't like their aesthetic. Red, I'm glad you like it. If you guys going to go support the channel, if that's what you want to do. I think it's full of psychos and losers. And I think that the people who attack others and take it upon themselves to attack others are psychos and losers. And I'll call them that all day. It's time to call them out. I don't care. I don't want them on my show. I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to go on their show. These guys need to be shunned. They need to be shunned. You know what I mean? Fucking excommunicate. Stop this shit. Stop worshiping.
Thomas Fessler is a hero in waiting, bro. He's gonna go whistleblower one day. I guarantee you that, and that's going to be explosive.
Oh, let me be clear here. If anyone I'm talking shit about decides to finally wise up and help expose this dangerous environment that they've helped create, I support that. But if you're not, I'm going to call it what it is. I don't want to dress it up in any kind of way. I'm just being serious. Like, I'm being dead ass serious. Like, I think, I see people who want to take it upon themselves to do this kind of shit, the Sawans and stuff, and I don't see cool people. I don't see people that I want to listen to or go smoke a doobie with and have a beer. I don't hear that. I hear some crazy. These people are fucking crazy. We need more and more and more podcasts, more shows, more voices, more people willing to talk that shit, share the information. I don't know if we're those guys. I don't know if I'm that guy, but I'm tired of dancing around this stuff. It's crazy. We have people threatening each other in UFO Twitter. We have people. This is happening. It's happening. It needs to stop. I know, Red, you and I aren't behind it. Our friends aren't behind it. We're watching it happen. It's happened to us from this particular group. We've put a lot of work in, right? Documenting it, sharing the work of people who document it. And, maybe now's not the time to call it out, but we're going to continue to do it anyway. You know what I mean? Fuck timing. Red, good show. This shit was lit. I'm glad we were able to go over this. I did not walk into this with a conclusion of who was threatening who. I was kind of open. But after seeing that, connecting the dots on Sawan and Disclosure Tonight and the David Grusch ribbon, I'm just like, that's
Literally,
too
something's
crazy.
Fishy, bro. Something's
Yes.
like Greenewald said. There's a growing trend of counterintel dudes doing weird threats and intimidation tactics to control narratives, and I just want people to be careful. Like, don't be like Gary and having regret and being like, "Hey, I was worked up to do all this stuff because I was told people were threatening Lue and his family." And after I did all this horrible stuff to people, I realized, like, oh, Manny 503's girlfriend had nothing to do with threatening Lue or his family. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Don't get whipped up. You're not the hero, or maybe you are. Maybe you're the hero in your life, and maybe you help the people with the flat tire. I don't know. But when it comes down to this, like, if someone in a position of power is presenting themselves as the victim and as someone in need, and they're like, "Oh, you're the guy I needed," just look up. There's many reports of people who've gotten close to Lue Elizondo and have realized he was trying to like juice them. And don't be one of those people. You know what I mean? I'm not here to tell you don't believe in this guy or what he has to say. I put out a lot of work about this guy. Red, you've put out a lot of work about Lue Elizondo. But who's threatening the whistleblowers? My guess is the whistleblowers themselves. I think something's going on. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Egg on my face. Fuck it. Good show, Red. We'll play you guys out with some music.
Hell yeah.
Red, until tomorrow. We got a good show coming up tomorrow as well. It's Wednesday, y'all. Tonight it's Tupa Tuesday on Spaces. Look out for it.
Oh,
it's
shoot.
It's happening. It's happening. We'll do a little after show or something. I want to thank the mods, Arden.
We also had a great chat tonight too. Shouts out to the chat. You guys were killing it.
It actually was so entertaining. And like, yeah, I don't know, man. I've grown to love our fans and these guys, dude. Like the family, dude. It's great. And thanks for everybody who was over on Twitter, who popped over to YouTube. We appreciate you guys. Same time, same story tomorrow. We'll go from there.
Talk to you later.
Peace, man.
Somebody, this has to stop, y'all. This is Skyfire News, and we're gonna break it all down for you. Skyfire News, that's right, baby. Are you a true science? Are you afraid for your safety? It's unacceptable, y'all. From the shadows is always strange to us. Sharing UFO information can be dangerous. Now tell me, are you a true insider? Have you gotten a death threat? But tell me, who is giving out the death threats? It's gotta be somebody. This has to stop, y'all. This is Skyfire News, and we're gonna break it all down for you. Skyfire News, that's right, baby. Insider, are you afraid for your safety? That's unacceptable, y'all.